gotta hold on.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Think that your mind go let yourself be free. Let's go back, let's go way on, way back when. I didn't even know you couldn't have been too much more than 10. Just time. I ain't no psychiatrist, I ain't no doctor with degrees, but it don't take too much time to see what you're doing to me. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah. Think that your mind go let yourself be free. Oh, freedom.
And now, everyone, please welcome Jill Biden, Bill Cain, and Joe Biden.
Wow. Luzerne, what a great welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. I love Pennsylvania, especially Luzerne County. Four days after our son Beau's funeral, I watched Joe shave and put on his suit, and I saw him steel himself in the mirror, take a breath, put his shoulders back, and walk out into a world empty of our son. He went back to work as your vice president. That's just who Joe is. Joe has faced unimaginable tragedies, but his purpose has always driven him forward. His strength of will is unstoppable, and his faith is unshakable, because it's not in politicians or political parties or even himself. It's in the providence of God, in the potential of our country. His faith is in you, in us. Through it all, he learned how to heal a broken family. It's the same way you heal a country, with love and understanding and small acts of kindness, with bravery, with unwavering hope. Joe has spent his entire career listening and bringing people together. He will be a president for all Americans. And he has a plan to calm the chaos of Donald Trump's America. But he can't do it without you. Right now, there are so many who want to tell us that our country is hopelessly divided, that our differences are irreconcilable, that our communities are fractured beyond repair. And beneath that is another message. Your voice can't fix it. Your vote doesn't matter. But that's not who we are, is it, Luzerne County? In this pandemic, we are supporting one another. We're finding mercy and grace in the moments that we might have once taken for granted. We're seeing that our differences are precious and that our similarities are infinite. Democrat and Republican, rural and urban, north and south, east and west, coast to coast. You, our communities, are showing that the heart of this nation still beats with kindness and courage. We don't agree on everything, and we know we don't have to. We can still love and respect one another, right? Now, as most of you may know, I'm a Philly girl, and I know that not all Pennsylvanians agree when it comes to Flyers versus Penguins, Eagles versus Steelers, Wawa versus Sheets, but there are two areas we can all be on the same page. Number one, we all want to see that we want to beat the Patriots. And number two is that we are all ready for Joe Biden. So Pennsylvania, are you ready to get this done? This is it. There are no do-overs. In this election, we have to believe that our communities are stronger than the challenges we face, because they are. We have to believe that our votes matter, because they do. And we have to show up right now, put our shoulders back, and work like we have never worked before. So will you join us? Will you help us show that our country will never settle for less than our highest aspirations? So, Pennsylvania, Luzerne County, will you stand with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Because when you do, I just know we are going to win. So thank you to our friend John Bon Jovi for his support. And wow, wasn't that a great performance? Thank you to all of you for showing up now when it matters the most. And thank you for your faith in an idea that's bigger than all of us. And that is that we will build a better nation, Pennsylvania, because we're going to do this together. So now I'd like to bring our next guest to the stage, Bill Kane. Bill, I often... Okay, thanks. Bill, I often say that educators are the best organizers. We know how to make something out of nothing. We fight for our communities, and we know when to use our teacher voice. And I know that you are proving me right today. So, Bill, my fellow educator, come on up.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here representing educators and support professionals from northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm a proud member of the Pennsylvania State Education Association and a proud union member. Our members know that Joe Biden is our best hope to empower unions so that they can, in turn, restore a thriving middle class to this great nation. I have been an educator and children's advocate for 30 years. I began my career working with at-risk youth who had become wards of the juvenile justice system. It was there I learned that more than anything else, the cycle of poverty was the main source of crime. Some years later, I worked with children with mental health diagnoses. The program allowed me to work with children at home and in their school settings. And during this experience, I learned that a carefully planned, well-funded, it takes a village approach could reach at-risk youth and could yield incredible results. I learned that when educators, support professionals, and parents worked as a team, that almost no problem was insurmountable. Later still, I worked for an alternative school that sought to transition students who had been placed into institutional settings and transition them back into their neighborhood public schools. And it was there I learned that even the most at-risk kids were capable of changing the trajectory of their lives if they were simply given the resources, encouragement, and opportunity to overcome their youthful indiscretions. I believe that Joe Biden cares about children from all walks of life and will work to ensure that all children are given a fighting chance. And after that, if necessary, he'll give them another chance. For the last 20 years or so, I've been a public school teacher. I've worked in a poor rural community, the inner city, and in the suburbs. In each environment, I learned how incredibly resilient and inspiring the next generation can be. My experience has led me to believe that our children can achieve anything if we remove barriers to their success. I believe that Joe Biden, as president, will offer the brightest among us the resources, technology, and programs to guarantee that American innovation will live on for generations. I believe Joe Biden will remove barriers to our children's success. Under the current administration, desperately needed funding would be redirected to elite private schools and for-profit schools. The most vulnerable among us will never benefit from these policies, but wealthy campaign donors might see their tuition bills reduced a bit. I believe Joe Biden will fight for additional funding for our most vulnerable children, children who would be denied the hope of an equal education if the current administration's plans come to fruition. Public education is important to me, but it should be important to all Americans. Public education allows children from all walks of life to hope for a better financial future, while at the same time fostering curiosity and nurturing outlets for creativity. Public education is the foundation of the American dream. It is the greatest engine of economic change in the history of our country and has helped to lift countless children out of poverty. Joe Biden has been a staunch supporter of public education throughout his entire political career. 2 months ago, I had the privilege of participating in a virtual town hall with Dr. Jill Biden. Dr. Biden is a respected educator who has not only seen firsthand the benefits of public schools, but has also witnessed the impact of inadequate school funding and legislation that hurts our students. Joe Biden will prioritize education and will equip teachers with the tools we need to help our kids learn and grow into successful, informed citizens. He is a true champion of public education. And he's a true champion for our students, and he will work to ensure that all children have access to high-quality public education. That is why I will vote for Joe Biden, and why every educator in America should support his return to national leadership. We are excited to have Joe back home in Northeast PA. And as educators, we'll be happier when his new address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce the next President of the United States, Joe Biden.
It's good to be almost home. Jill's a Philly girl, but I'm a Scranton guy. And I like Luzerne County. Bill, thank you for that introduction. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you must be freezing out there. You don't even have a coat on, child. What's the matter with you? Jump in the car. Look, folks, I thank you for everything you do in the classroom, old buddy. You know, there's an expression. They always talk about the children. They're all our children. They're the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. That's why teachers are so critically important, because the future's in every one of those classrooms. And so, folks, we owe our teachers a debt of gratitude, even the ones that didn't give me a great grade. I'm only joking. Look, it's good to see so many friends. Bobby Casey, one of the finest guys I've known, and Matt Cartwright, a good man. We've been friends for years. We need to send them both back. And by the way, we also need to elect Gary Wegman for the folks of next door district in the 9th, and Lee Griffin in the 12th district. And Lee, by the way, went to high school here. So welcome back, old buddy. Look, I want to thank you all and all the local and state officials who are here today, many of whom have been with us since the very beginning of this campaign. And I want to thank a guy who's been a friend for me for a long time and gone anywhere I've ever asked him. John Bon Jovi, thank you, pal. Thank you, friend. You're a national treasure. You've always captured the heart and soul of America. And folks, that's what's at stake in this election, the soul of America. 10 days left to go. As my high school and college coach used to say in football, it's go time. It's go time now. It may come down to Pennsylvania. And I want to know, I'll let you know, I believe in you. Home. Home is where your character is etched. Your values are set, where your views of the world and your place in it began to be formed. For me, it was 2446 North Washington Avenue in Scranton, Pennsylvania, at my grandpa's table. My grandpa was named Ambrose Finnegan. At his kitchen table, I learned a lot of basic lessons. One, money does not determine your wealth. I used to say, Joey, nobody's better than you, but you're no better than anybody else. Everybody's treated equal. Folks, the lesson that is shaped by my Catholic faith and my dad who'd say, Joey, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. And I swear to God, when he lost his job in Scranton, and Cole died early on back then, moved down to Claymont, Delaware, he used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. I've never forgotten that. But how many people today, hard-working folks like around my kitchen table, can look at their kids and say with certainty, everything's going to be okay, and mean it? Over 55% of the American people say if they got a bill for more than $400 they didn't expect in a month, they'd have to sell something or borrow the money. Times are hard. Unemployment is way up. People are worried about making the next rent payment or the mortgage payment. 20 million people worried about whether they can make next month's mortgage payment. Where their health care is going to be ripped away in the middle of a pandemic. Worried about sending the kids to school and worried about not sending them to school. You see, folks at the top, they're doing a whole lot better. And they wonder, who's looking out for me? Who's looking out for the average person out there? People I grew up with in Scranton and Claymont, Delaware. Donald Trump's presidency, guess what? You know, more than 220,000 people are dead in America because of COVID-19. Yesterday was the highest number of new cases since it all began, 85,000 new cases in one day. 1,000 people a day dying. When he was told a while ago it passed 1,000 people a day, he looked at the camera. Remember what he said? He said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because he is who he is. That's why it is what it is. Yesterday was the worst day we've had. Yet, in our debate on Thursday night, Trump was still saying, we're rounding the corner. It's going away. We're learning to live with it. As I told him, we're not learning to live it, we're learning to die with it. Because it's doing nothing. And folks, there's a dark winter ahead. Experts say we're going to lose nearly 200,000 lives nationwide in the next few months if we don't step up. Because he cares more about the stock market than he does about you. Because he refuses to follow science. It's estimated. These are facts. His own people tell him, if we wore these masks over the next few months, we could save 100,000 lives. You know what's really sad about all this? The president knew back at the end of January how deadly this virus was, and he hid it from the country. But here's what he did. You know, remember when he went on, he decided he was going to convince Bob Woodward what a smart guy he was. So he went on, yeah, smart guy. Stable genius. But folks, here's what he did. He went on record as saying that he knew how dangerous it was. Knew 7 times dangerous than the flu. But what did he do? Did he tell you? Did he tell us? Did he warn the American people? No, he didn't. But he'd tell you what his administration did. They gave Wall Street heads up, according to the New York Times. He didn't tell us, but they told his Wall Street friends. That's why they made so much money by, quote, selling short, because they knew what was coming. He sold us short. That's what happened. And then he tried to claim that he didn't want to panic the American people. The American people don't panic. Donald Trump panicked. And folks, he still had no plan. All he can do is double down on his Park Avenue way of looking at the world. Before the pandemic, he handed out $1.5 trillion in tax giveaways to the super wealthy and large corporations. And now, even when 30 million Americans have lost their jobs and lost hours, he thinks the way to get the American economy back on track, and you probably don't even know this, is to give gigantic multi-million-dollar tax cuts to corporations and the wealthy. And he wants to do it again. Since the start of this pandemic, and this even startled me, according to Forbes, since the start of the pandemic, billionaires in America made another $600 billion. Actually, it's $700 billion. But Donald Trump can't get his own Republican Party to even deliver for hard-working folks. Folks, he thinks $15 an hour minimum wage is too much for essential workers. He thinks unions don't matter. He stopped overtime pay, costing hourly workers $1.2 billion last year. He said you can no longer deduct union dues. And he talks about being for the working guy. 4 years in, he still hasn't gotten legislation passed to protect pensions or working people. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy doesn't get it. He's proposed a plan that would set Social Security, as the Social Security actuary said, would bankrupt Social Security by 2023 if you reelect him, he says. He's been weak and chaotic with China on trade. All he's ended up doing is open the doors to big banks in China for American banks to be able to do business in China. He contributed to the surge of bankruptcies and American farmers. Look, I'll do what he's unable to do. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure, isolate, and punish China. Folks, We've lost more manufacturing jobs in Pennsylvania across the country than any time in recent history. And if President Trump and Republicans don't have time to deliver an economic relief for working families and small businesses, then why, in the middle of a crisis, do they have time to confirm a Supreme Court justice so they can knock out Obamacare? I'll tell you why. He wants to wipe it off the books. Because his nominee has said that they're going to strike down the law before she was picked. Look, if they get their way, more than 20 million of you, 20 million Americans will lose their coverage, including nearly 1 million Pennsylvanians. 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions, including 5.3 million in Pennsylvania, will no longer be covered. Complications from COVID will become the next pre-existing conditions, allowing insurance companies to jack up your coverage. And women are going to be charged a hell of a lot more for their health care just because they're women. Look, Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. I think it's a right. Look, but nothing is more offensive than the way he's spoken about those who served our nation in uniform. He calls them losers and suckers. Well, how many of you served? How many of your parents served? Luzerne and Lackawanna County have a proud history of defending this nation. Folks, my son Bo was a major, served in Iraq, won the Bronze Star, the Conspicuous Service Medal. He came home decorated. He wasn't a loser. He wasn't a sucker. He was a patriot. Just like your sons and daughters, your parents and grandparents. I can't believe it. No wonder 6 generals who worked in his administration left him and said he doesn't deserve to be commander-in-chief of the United States. No president has ever had that happen. Frankly, I've dealt with guys like Trump my whole life. So have you. Guys who look down on you because they have a lot of money. Guys who think they're better than you. Guys who inherit everything in life and then squander it. Guys who stiff electricians and plumbers and contractors working on their hotels and casinos and golf courses. Guys who avoid paying their own taxes they owe because they figure, as he said last time out, it's because he's smart. He's able to play the system, pay $750 in taxes being a billionaire. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Well, they leave the rest of us to pick up the tab. Now we find Trump has secret bank accounts in China. I didn't make that up. That comes right out of the New York Times. Secret bank accounts in China, where he paid 50 times more in taxes in Beijing than he did in the United States of America. Look, that his hundreds of millions of dollars, $400 million in debt in the coming few years, who does he owe it to? Why is it? I released 23 years of my tax returns. Why hasn't he released one of his? What in the hell is he hiding? Look, you know, I gotta admit, maybe it's the Scranton in me. I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I read that if I got elected president, I'd only be the second guy in this century, in the last century, that, in fact, didn't go to an Ivy League school. Well, what the hell does that say about my state school I went to? Like it didn't mean I don't belong? My guess is a lot of you have felt the same way in your lives. I say it's about time a state school guy gets to go to the Oval Office. Because you know what? If I'm sitting there, you'll be sitting there with me. You and I know who really built this country. It wasn't Wall Street. It wasn't CEOs. The working people, middle-class people built it, and unions built the middle class. Look, we know we're so much better than this, so much better. And we can do anything in this country. Look, it starts with my plan to deal with this pandemic responsible. Bring the country together around testing, tracing, masking, social distancing, not politicizing the race for vaccine, but planning for its safe and equitable distribution, providing funding and protective gear for national standards for schools and businesses to open safely, bringing together Republicans and Democrats to deliver relief to working families and schools and businesses. As I've said before, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm going to shut down the virus and build the economy. Folks, this is all within our power. We can build back better than before. We can build back better than before. That's who we are. You know, an independent analysis on Wall Street, of all places, Moody's, a Wall Street firm, projected that my economic plan will create 18.6 million jobs in 4 years, 7 million more than his, and $1 trillion more in economic growth. Look, it's pretty basic. I'm not going to raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400 grand a year. But I tell you what, I'm going to start asking the wealthy and corporations to begin to pay their fair share. It's time working people, middle-class people got tax relief to help them buy their first home, pay for the health care premiums, child care, caring for their aged loved ones. We'll do more than just praise our essential workers. We will pay our essential workers. We're going to make health care affordable for every American. We're going to build on the Affordable Care Act. Keep your private insurance if you like it, but make sure everybody, the 20 million people who got health insurance that they didn't have before because of it, are able to keep it. We're going to increase the ability for you to be able to have much lower drug prices. We're going to lower drug prices by 60%. You know how you do that? Just allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. That'll bring them down by 60%. We're going to make sure you keep your prescriptions and pre-existing conditions. I'll protect your Social Security and Medicare. And if I keep going, you're going to freeze your fingers off. Well, look, we can create 1 million union jobs. Union jobs. Prevailing wage, rebuilding American manufacturing, and enforcing Buy in America plan. Look, every single contract that will go out under my administration that we have put out will have to have products that are made in America. Nothing else than that. It's estimated that'll create 4 million new jobs. Folks, it's time. But we're getting there, man. Hang on. Hang on. Here's the deal. Look, we're going to move in a position that we can change a lot. And by the way, let me get something straight here. In coal country, I will not ban fracking, period. I'll protect Pennsylvania jobs, period. No matter how many times Donald Trump says it. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't think big oil companies need a handout of federal government. We're going to get rid of the $40 billion fossil fuel subsidies, and we're going to invest it in clean energy and carbon capture. Look, going back to schools, if we just make the 91 corporations that didn't pay a single penny in taxes pay 15%, that raises $40 billion. That allows us to send every single person qualified to community college free. It allows us to send every single person who can get into a 4-year state university go free if they make less than $125,000. Look, Donald Trump hasn't delivered on a damn thing he said he'd do. He hadn't delivered on infrastructure. He talked in 2017, 18, 19, 20. He's going to give us an infrastructure plan. He hadn't done a damn thing. If our roads or our bridges are crumbling, just as climate change is accelerating and more frequent extremes and weather events. Not just wildfires in California and hurricanes along the coast, but here in Luzerne County, with flooding along the Susquehanna. We can do something about it, but we've got to come together, which gets me to the last part of this election. The stakes are high. Barack and I worked hard to earn and win your votes in 2008 and 2012. And I tell you what, it wasn't, I thought it was great to see him again out on the trail for me, quite frankly. But I understand why. Some people voted for Donald Trump. They believe they weren't seen or being respected or heard. Trump ran around saying he represents the forgotten man and woman in this country. I get it. But then he got elected and he immediately forgot the forgotten man. Remember what Donald Trump said when COVID hit? 200,000 deaths. He said if you take out the blue states with Democratic governors and just look at the red states with Republican governors, we're doing quite well. First of all, that's not true. And secondly, what in the hell would a president say? I'm not going to do anything for Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin, Democratic states. I'm only going to help red states. Where's this guy come from? Look, folks, I don't see the presidency that way. I don't see America that way. This has to change. It'll change with me. You know, you'll be seen and you're heard and respected by me. Our campaign is a broad coalition. It welcomes Democrats, Republicans, and independents. If elected president, there will be no red states or blue states, only the United States. I was reminded of that earlier this month when I went to the sacred ground in Gettysburg to speak. Abraham Lincoln told us, a house divided can't stand. Well, folks, today trust is ebbing. Hope seems elusive. Instead of healing, we're being ripped apart. I refuse to let that happen. I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'll govern as an American president. I'll work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do. That's the president's job. A duty to care, a duty to heal. And you, too, have a sacred duty. That's to vote. It matters. Pennsylvania matters. So please vote. Get out the vote. Visit iwillvote.com/PA. Return your ballot as soon as possible. And make sure everyone you know does. Folks, you know, I'm more optimistic about America's future than I've been since I've been involved in politics. We're the only country in the world that's come out of every crisis stronger than we went in. There's not a damn thing America can't do when we decide to do it together. Folks, John Kennedy said, when he promised to send us to the moon, he said, answered the unasked question. Why? He said, because we refuse to postpone. This is the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity. There's no limit to our future. The only thing that can rip America apart is America itself. Look, folks, I'll close by saying everybody knows who Donald Trump is. We've got to show them who we are. We choose hope over fear, unity over division, science over fiction, and truth over lies. Folks, it's time to stand up and take our democracy back. May God bless you, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go vote. Vote. Thank you.